In this video, I interviewed Shawnee G, who is the lead developer for Emergency Response Liberty County, and I asked him some questions that have never really been asked before, like how long does it take for an update to be fully developed from the initial idea to actually getting added to the game, and what are the different stages of development, along with loads of other really interesting questions. So make sure you watch right to the end. If you do enjoy this video, please do make sure you drop a like and also subscribe, but let's get straight into this. Okay, so I'm now in a voice call with Shawnee G. So hello Shawnee G, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. So I guess let's not waste any time and let's get straight into it. So obviously we've done a little interview before as well, but this one is mostly focused towards the updates and how updates come about and how they actually get developed. So my first question is, how do you actually come up with ideas for the updates?
Well, the ideas, a lot of the times we just go into the suggestions channel and grab the most top rated ideas just to get a general gist, but we also do have a long-term board of different ideas that we can pick from, and a lot of updates we try to go with the theme, whether it be central around the police team, the fire team, DOT, or whatever. But yeah, ideally any update that we've thought of at some point the community also has thought of, so we'll go reaching suggestions just to add more onto it. And a lot of times our testers bring up their own ideas too.
Yeah, nice. So are like the majority of updates you do all based off of what the community actually suggests, or do you primarily pick from that list you have?
Oh yeah, it's primarily from what the community suggests, because ideally our testers, they're also very, I guess, connected with the community, arguably more than we are, since they have more time to play the game and everything. We are sure to ask them like, hey, what is the community liking right now? If we were to add this, how do you think the community would feel? Just so we get a general gauge on how popular an update would be.
Yeah, that makes sense, to be honest, because the testers do the testers, little side question, do the testers how many hours do you test updates for before you actually release them to the public? Is there a lot, or is it kind of just a little bit to make sure everything's fine?
Generally we try to test a lot, because obviously we don't want bugs reaching the majority of the public. So in an ideal situation, testers will have a week to test, but in some situations they only have maybe 1 or 2 days, and they're just testing maybe for about 4 hours each day to try and get all the central, target all the central areas to test. Because a lot of times I'm able to tell them, hey, mainly test this, because if anything is going to have an issue in this update, it would be this feature, so be sure to test that. And they'll test to get all the bugs, try to break it, and yeah, so that's how the public doesn't really see a lot of the bugs that the testers see.
Yeah, that makes sense, to be honest. So the next question I have is, what's the process after you've actually chosen an idea? So try and explain in detail what happens. So you pick the idea from the suggestions channel, or you pick it from that list or whatever. What happens then? How do things develop after that?
Yeah, generally Lost and Mr. Fergie and myself, we usually have a meeting once a week or once every 2 weeks, and we'll discuss the next couple of update ideas. And in that meeting we just decide, all right, do we want to try and move forward with this? And whenever we pick an idea, then we bring it to a certain group of testers and we ask them, all right, we're kind of leaning towards this, we've mapped out how we want to implement this, here are all the details, so what do you guys think? And if the testers are getting a feel for it, then we'll start working on it and assigning tasks to the different developers who, say if there's a car, we'll assign it to the car modeler, hey, go make this, and we'll slowly build the update together. It could be anywhere from a month out to maybe even the next week.
Nice. So how long does it usually take from the very first meeting you said you have, or from actually picking the suggestion to it actually being added to the game? Is it quite a while? Is it months, or is it quite quickly?
On average, I'd say anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks, just because we try to have a meeting when we already have an update. Say if right now, for example, an update was scheduled, this is hypothetical, of course, this is real, just so everyone knows, but say we're releasing an update in 7 days. Obviously we're working on that update already, but we'd meet now to discuss, all right, what update is going to follow after that. So that may be 2 or 3 weeks out, kind of. So generally 2 to 3 weeks is when that update would come out.
Nice. So you're always planning for the next update before the current one's already out, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and ideally we try to plan 2 or 3 updates out if possible, but you know, sometimes due to time constraints or updates changing, it always varies.
Yeah, definitely. I always see like on your profiles and people always talk about like the different stages of development. So there's like S1 testing, there's S2 testing, all that kind of stuff. Can you explain what that is and like what each of them mean and what you do in them stages?
Yeah, so stage S1 stands for stage 1, S2 stands for stage 2. So S1, those are testers that will test an update maybe a week or two out before it's set to release, and they're our main group that we try to get feedback from. Since they're more experienced testers, they've likely been with us for a year or more in testing, so they know the general gist of it. So they'll get all the initial bugs, and we'll keep adjusting this, I guess, whatever feature based on their feedback and everything. And once that's done, we'll move on to stage 2 or S2. And generally that's about a week or less before the update is set to release. They are the mass testers, so they'll come in, they'll test everything that S1 obviously tested, and of course they'll try and find new bugs that maybe S1 didn't catch. And generally in that phase, the idea is solidified on what the update is, how it'll work. It's just solely on bugs at that point.
Yeah, and like how many testers do you have for S1 and S2? If you can answer that.
I know for S1 we have about, say, around 25-ish S1 testers. It ranges because, you know, obviously our S1 testers, that technically includes some developers in some cases.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if I were to, here, let me actually go check just to give you an accurate number. Yeah, so for stage 1 testers, we have about 20 stage 1, and then for stage 2, we have about 10 to 12.
Nice, okay. So quite a few testers then to make sure. I mean, that's probably why we barely ever see any bugs when updates come out, because there's so many of them. So yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And this last kind of question I've got, in terms of developers, how many developers do you have now? Because I've noticed like you've started to get a lot more, right, than what there was like in previous years.
In total we have, it's hard to give a number for that, but in total we have around 15 to 20 developers, and those developers,
Wow.
they range from doing stuff like car modeling or building. You know, they're a programmer as well, because we recently hired another scripter. So our range of developers, it really ranges from what tasks they do. I'd say
Yeah.
on a daily basis, maybe about 10 to 15 devs really do the main work, but I guess total contributors, total people developing, it's around 20.
And like each of them developers, do they all have like a specific job? Like, do you have like a vehicle modeler? Does like someone do all the buildings? Then like, does the programmer have like a specific thing they program, or how does that work in terms of what they're actually assigned to do?
Yeah, so we'll have a specific person for programming, like Flatbird, for example. He helps programming our website and the PRC Discord bot, as you know. He's also the dev of Circle. We have, you know, a scripter that helps me out scripting stuff. We have modelers. We have like a few different modelers, and some are solely tasked with modeling vehicles. Some are tasked with modeling like tools, gear, maybe a bulletproof vest if we need it, you know, stuff like that. We make sure to use what they specialize in, because obviously people have strengths and weaknesses, so we make sure to lean towards their strengths.
Yeah, nice. So that was all of the questions I had for you. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to do this interview.
No problem. Thank you for coming once again.
So yeah, that was the interview with Shawnee G. It was actually very, very interesting. I did quite enjoy that. I hope you guys did enjoy it as well. Some very, very interesting answers and some very, very useful answers as well that are quite nice to know, such as how many testers they have and that they have nearly 20 developers. I did not know that they had that many. I thought they only had like 5, but it turns out they actually do have quite a few. So if you did enjoy, please do make sure you do drop a like and also subscribe. Make sure you join my Discord server at discord.gg/amaze, and of course follow me on TikTok at AmazePlays YT. But yes, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye.